realize you can't spell mental health without men heal. Within every man is a kid and a king, a lion and a lamb. Sometimes there's even an unnurtured boy within that is oftentimes searching for validation as a man. Being a man is hard work, but it's heart work. Let's talk about the work that it takes to manifest, to maintain, and to manage as a man. I'm mic'd up. Let's mix it up. What's going on, family? Hopefully you're having a great day in a great way. Today, we are talking about masculinity. We're going to get into it. I want to talk about mental health. Can't spell mental health without men heal. I want to talk about from grown boy to healed man. Maurice Freehill asked a particular powerful and poignant question. He said this: who is more afraid, the child who is more afraid of the dark, or the man who is afraid of the light? Oftentimes as men, we are afraid of the light because not only does light bring heat, but in many cases, light puts the spotlight on our flaws. Because oftentimes, the greatest enemy is the inner me. And today, as we talk about the meaning of masculinity, oftentimes the conversation can be just a little murky. I think we have to ask some real serious questions. And even before we ask those serious questions, come on, family, hit the thumbs up button. Hit the thumbs up button. Come on, thumbs up this video. Helps my channel to grow. This is what I want you to do. I just want you to just type mental health. Come on, I want you to type that. Type mental health. And you'll see this. You can't spell mental health without men heal. Again, as I said, you talk about the meaning of masculinity, oftentimes the conversation can get just a little bit murky. There are some questions that we really have to ask, such as, what does it mean to be a man? How do you define masculinity? Is it based on our perceptions from society? How does masculinity really impact our identity? How do you view the man or the men that are in your life? Because oftentimes societal perceptions have beclouded the essence of manhood and masculinity, particularly in conjunction as it connects to our identity. The word masculinity is oftentimes associated with strength. It's oftentimes associated with virility. It's oftentimes associated with power. But what about accountability and integrity? Oftentimes, masculinity embraces what is tangible, but it shuns what is emotional. I want to have some real truth, hard conversations about this with some OQP type people. Yeah, only quality people. I want to have some real conversations about this, because here's the thing. We cannot ignore the EQ and IQ of our human experience. We cannot ignore the emotional intelligence aspect, the emotional quotient, the intelligence quotient. We can't ignore that when it comes to our human experience, particularly as men. Oftentimes we shun brain for brawn. We shun mentality for money. But that's all a part of not being a human doing, but being a human being. Sadly, I want to talk to you. This is what we have not done. We have not created a culture for men to be open. Yeah, we have not created a culture for men to be open about their hurts, about their flaws, about their scars, about their wounds, about their weaknesses. Here's what we have done. We have shunned it and we have shelved it as femininity. We have shunned it and shelved it as sensitivity and made no concession for vulnerability. A man has been imbibed, a man has been specifically taught and reared and trained. Don't talk to nobody about what you're going through. Don't cry. Crying is for girls. Don't you open up to your woman. Because generally, when you're between a rock and a hard place, she just might use that against you. Hear me. Don't. Let me help my sisters out real quickly. Don't ask a man to open up to you if you're specifically going to use what he said against you. If you're going to really read him, you're really reading him your Miranda rights. You got the right to remain silent. Anything that you say can and will be used against you in my court of law. Society has made no concession for vulnerability because oftentimes vulnerability and masculinity cannot coexist in the same space. Oftentimes vulnerability is seen as femininity. I mentor these guys. I mentor our brothers. I mentor our boys. The pain that in many cases oftentimes our boys have gone through. Father not being there, trying to decipher who it is that they are as individuals. Feeling as if the only place that they can get any love is on the streets. But the streets ain't got no love for you no way. If we allow our boys to be destroyed, they will never become the men that they are destined to be. Frederick Douglass said, if we build strong children, we won't have to repair broken adults. I like to say if we build strong boys, we won't have to repair broken men. And oftentimes our men are broken due to the fact of the unhealed emotions, the unhealed trauma of what it is that they experienced as boys that, hear me, they never gave voice to. We just shunned it and shelved it. Your boy, keep going. You're going to become a man. Forget all about that. Pain is weakness leaving the body. Don't you dare tell nobody about what you're going through. We think about physical abuse. 1 in 3 of our girls is sexually abused. But here's the thing. 1 in 6 guys has been touched inappropriately. Us as boys becoming men, us as men never talk about issues like that. Why? Because you're supposed to be strong from the womb to the tomb. Any would-be perpetrators, I don't care how little you are, based upon society's stigmas, you're supposed to defend yourself. Just because Papa was a Rolling Stone doesn't mean you have to be. The generational curse, the intergenerational trauma of alcoholism, of poverty, of incarceration, of promiscuity and irresponsibility, Yes, it may run in your family. However, here's what happened. It should run out with you. Come on, family. Type break the curse. I hope I'm talking to some bold brothers. I hope I'm talking to some spirit-filled sisters, especially my spirit-filled sisters who are praying for our brothers. Praying for that man who in many cases you desire to be your husband. Praying for that brother, that father, that grandfather, that child, that son, that grandson. Why? Because of the attack that in many cases is on his life, because greatness is the calling that he needs to answer to. Hear me. Us as men, we grapple with a lot of things in life, but greatness must be the calling that we answer to. Can't avoid it. You have to answer to it. Papa was a Rolling Stone, but you don't have to be. Born looking like our parents, but we live or die looking like our decisions. And here's the thing, much of what we hear about masculinity is that it's toxic. Oh, toxic masculinity. No. That's the furthest thing from the truth. Here's what masculinity is. Masculinity is loving. Masculinity is strong. Masculinity is protecting. Masculinity is in caring for one another. It does not berate, it builds. It's a person who's gone rogue. It's a person who has misused and abused the whole aspect of masculinity that makes it toxic. The whole aspect of masculinity is not toxic. It's the person. It's the pattern. Think about this. The prefix of masculinity is pronounced mask. Family, I love seeing all of you in our YouTube channel. It's very, very colorful in here, and that is because people have purchased badges. I'd love for you to purchase a badge. That lets me know, hey, you really real as a member of our YouTube channel. We have 3 particular tiers: VIP, Royalty, OQP. Come on, support it. Support it. We're having a super conversation. Feel free to drop a super chat or a super sticker as well. The prefix of masculinity is pronounced mask. And oftentimes as men, here's what we do. We go through life wearing a mask. We go through life wearing a mask because the rules of masculinity are always being redefined. The rules of masculinity are always being remixed simply because masculinity has always been performative. And we don't hear enough about, brother, love yourself. We don't hear enough about, brother, know your worth. We've categorized that and castigated that as specifically something that is only allotted to what women are supposed to do. Can't truly be who you are without discovering who it is that you are through the lens of loving yourself, through the pursuit of your purpose, through the removal of the mask that shields your identity. And here's what we do. We oftentimes hide our real identity because we don't want anybody to see the hurting boy internally. Let me talk to you. Come on, family, type Boys to Men. Boys to Men is more than just a particular R&B group. What it is a metamorphosis in life. It's a maturity. Paul said, when I was a child, I spake as a child, but when I became a man, I put away childish things. Things are not just going to leave by the snap of your fingers. Things are not just going to leave by osmosis. Things are not just going to leave because you got a beard hanging from your chin. Things are not just going to leave simply because you got a little bit of bass in your voice. Things are not just going to leave because you got the hustle and the muscle. No. It's a level of maturity. Why? Because it's not about age. It's about stage. It's not about what's above it's not about what's below your waist that just makes you a man. That makes you a male. It's about what's above your neck that defines you, that redefines you, that empowers you by removing the mask internally and externally. Too often we hide our real identity because we don't want anybody to see the hurting boy internally. And that hurting boy internally is a mask for the rage. The rage is a mask for the hurting boy internally. So angry, so bitter. You can easily go from 0 to 100 real quick. God forbid you'll put your hands on a woman, beat her, kick her, where you see it on video for the world to see. Why? Because of that hurting boy internally, because of the insecurity. So now you feel like you got to beat somebody down to feel bigger than them. Yeah, you over here talking about take that, can't stop, won't stop. Well, you need to. Deal with the hurting boy. Deal with that trauma and those triggers and those issues internally. As Dr. Sigmund Freud said, we are in adulthood what we have experienced in childhood. Being a man is hard work, but it's heart work. Man means to manage. Man means to maintain. Man means to manifest. Man, mature, assertive, nurturer. Come on, family, type man. Got to understand the power of a man. Got to understand the power of being a man. Mature, assertive, nurture. Maturity. When I was a child, I was making a child, but when I became man, I put away childish things. That's the level of maturity. Maturity is holding yourself accountable. What am I doing to get better today? That when I lay my head on my pillow at night, I can say, I grew in this particular area. Assertive. You ain't got no wishbone. You have a backbone. You're not passive. You're not aggressive. Two extremes. But no. You can stand your ground. You can be respectful and respected all at the same time by being assertive. Not taking no mess off of nobody. Don't mean you're going to put your hands on nobody. You're just not taking no mess off of anybody. Why? You're standing your ground as a man. You live by certain principles, values, standards. What are those, my brother? And then N for nurturer. We generally predicate nurturing to women. But as men, we need to be nurturers as well. As a leader, you're a nurturer. You're a nurturer by nature. You wouldn't handle bricks the same way as you would handle a baby. You wouldn't handle a baby the same way as you'd handle bricks. No, it's a level of TLC. It's a level of tender loving care. And oftentimes we can't express that TLC because it was not shown to us. We grew up on survival, but not love. The only thing we saw that a man did was dominate. Didn't love. We saw him beat, but not build. We saw him hurt, but not heal. We saw him cheat, but never be faithful. Hello? And salute to the grandfathers. Salute to the fathers. Salute to the unsung heroes. Salute to the unsung soldiers. Because everything about a man is not bad. Don't let what society tells you. Don't let what your girlfriends tell you. Well, every man is a dog. No, just the ones that you've been with. Woo! It's tight, but it's going to be all right. It's good men out here. Good men who are oftentimes hurting men. They're hurting internally. because we don't have a support system oftentimes for men. We know how to hide the shame behind our supposed shine. We're grappling with father wounds, covering it with financial resources. The more money I get, it'll take care of the abscess of that wound that I experienced when I was 15, or I experienced when I was 10, or I experienced when I was 8. I'll feel great. We have shunned showing any vulnerability for the sake of being referred to as weak. Peter Glick says this. He's a Lawrence University professor. He said the notion of masculinity is a status that you constantly have to prove. Do you hear me? The notion is masculinity is a status that you constantly have to prove. And here's what societal implications of masculinity, or what people think is manly, is something that's hard to achieve and easily lost. Because here's what men do. Here's what we do as men. We compensate by acting out in risky ways. Gotta prove that I'm a man. Nah, I ain't no punk. Nah, I ain't whack. I ain't weak. I ain't soft. I refuse to let you see me as slighted, as undefined. So we move into levels of hypermasculinity, hypersexuality, leading to pride, leading to ego, leading to living a life void of purpose, simply because we believe we've imbibed the notion that masculinity is about what I do, not who I become. And so if it's so performative, you're always reaching, but you're never grasping. Why? Because the needle is always moving. What they say makes you a man today is not what they said what makes you a man years ago. It's always being redefined. It's always being remixed. And real masculinity is about developing your true God-given identity. Got a special message for you. Once you stick and stay, trust me, on the other side of this break, more breakthrough is coming your way. After these messages, I'm coming right back. Are you an author or aspiring author interested in building your book? Do you want to develop as a speaker and communicator? Listen, check out my array of solutions and systems, like my bestseller book blueprint and successful speaker strategies. Explore my tailor-made programs designed to nurture your purpose and grow your greatness. In order to increase your ideas, your impact, and your influence, visit us today at theeaglesacademy.com/store so you can soar. Family, as I said before, definitely want you to heed to the resources. Yes, y'all, we don't stop. Heed to those resources. As you can see, we're back. Let's get back to the word. Interestingly enough, you can't spell mental health without the words men heal. Here's another thing. You can't spell mentor without men. And generally, what we have done is we've believed that mentorship is from top to bottom. It's a top-down approach, meaning men are mentoring boys. But in many cases, men need mentors. How do you deal with life in your 20s? How do you deal with life in your 30s? How do you deal with life in your 40s and in your 50s and beyond that? I need somebody who's been there, who can show me the ropes, what to do, what not to do. What are the angles that I should take? What are the things that I should avoid? How do I plan now for my future? Can't spell mental health without men heal. Can't spell mentor without men. Also can't spell menopause and menstruation without men too. Yeah. Right. I guess not only are we the problem, but we all also the solution all in one. A lot of times, us as men, we have masked our hurt, we've masked our pain. I used to believe that pain was weakness leaving the body, but here's what happened. It affected my mentality. And I had to realize I had to unlearn what I had learned. I had to relearn to realize that it's important to address and unmask the pain rather than ignore it or try to cover it. What we must proactively do, we must proactively recover from it. That's what we have to do. We have to take the time to recover from what we tried to cover. The fictitious imagery of masculinity, what has it done? It has clouded our identity. Society has a myopic view of masculinity. It's fragmented it, basically placing an emphasis specifically on just muscles, money, and a Mercedes or a foreign vehicle. It's placed emphasis on valuables, but not really feeling valuable. That has become the barometer. That has become the foundational element for masculinity and manhood. When in actuality, you can have all that and still be void of the true nature of a man. Here's what true masculinity does. True masculinity comes with maturity. That maturity is found through mentorship. That maturity is found through this, as Proverbs chapter 27:17 affirms, iron sharpeneth iron, so a man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend. Come on, family, type stay sharp. Stay sharp. Got to sharpen my mind. I got to sharpen my skill set. Got to sharpen my tool set. Got to sharpen my heart set. Got to sharpen myself to be an asset in any particular environment. If you haven't become a YouTube member, go ahead. VIP, OQP, royalty. Check out one of those tiers there. Check out one of those tiers. Drop a super chat, super sticker. We're having a super conversation. If you're not a member of our Eagles community, go ahead right now. EaglesAcademy.com. Love to see your face in our digital space as we grow your greatness. The same encouragement that we need when we are young is oftentimes the same encouragement that we need when we are older, if not more so. Why? Because oftentimes life has beaten us to a pulp. We've lost our dreams many times, in many cases. We've lost the power of perspective. That childlike energy and tenacity. The big ideas, oftentimes those have been warped. Oftentimes those have been shrunken down. And oftentimes what we won't ask for as men is help. We need mentors, we need advisors, we need accountability partners. We believe that something's wrong with seeking advice. We'll drive around for 30 minutes. Never even ask for directions. Try to figure it out on our own. Lord, what would we do without Google Maps? In the multitude of counselors, there is safety. Us as men, yes, we need counseling too. We need therapy. Got to see counseling and therapy as more than just something that's taboo. No, it's for me and you. We need support. We need to be open to receiving help. We have to realize this is not a sign of weakness or being less of a man. To surround yourself with resources that can cultivate your mentality, cultivate your identity, develop who you are internally. Because so many of our brothers, I need you to hear me, That's why we got to have, what does scripture say? Scripture says, call for the wailing women, the wailing prophet Jeremiah, who cried, a man crying. Yeah, a man crying out. Said, call for the wailing women. We want to keep things so bottled up inside for us as men. Jesus healing the demoniac son. The father cried out to Jesus, Lord, help me. I believe, help my unbelief. It's an area of my life that I want to believe, but it just seems like I just don't. Don't believe in my mentality anymore. I don't believe in my dream anymore. I don't believe that I can get out of this place of depression anymore. I want you to help me. And oftentimes the last thing that us as men do is ask for help. We don't ask for help. So many of our brothers, we're losing the battle to depression. Losing the battle to addiction. Losing the battle to pornography. Losing the battle to alcoholism. Men are losing the battle to pain points, to pains of the past that keep them scarred. And I come as a voice, a clarion call today. I come as a voice to just let you know, listen, you don't have to die in your depression. You don't have to die in your dilemma. You don't have to die in that place of where you were mistreated, where you thought somebody was going to heal you and help you, but they wound up hurting you and harming you, and they scarred you as a boy, and it stifled your growth as a man. You got all the attractions. You got all of the aspects to being handsome. You got all of the aspects to what manhood looks like. But what is it really like internally? Things that you don't talk to anybody about. The things that you cover with all the finest clothes and the jewelry and the 2 chains. and all of it, the music. And the opportunity, but it feels as if you're living in solitary confinement. Boyhood is a sprint, but manhood is a marathon. How do you run your race at your pace? How do you run your race when society wants to dictate your pace? What do you do as a man when you're only socialized to be strong, but you're broken internally because the broken boy in you was never affirmed? I want to ask you, my dear sister from another mister, I want to ask you, my dear brother from another mother, where can a man go without always having to appear strong? You got to be strong in the gym. You got to be strong on the job. You got to be strong in the streets. You got to be strong walking up to the corner grocery store when folks gonna mean mug him. He got to be strong in the community. He's got to be strong in the relationship. Well, guess what? You're going to put him in the group chat. You ain't going to put no respect on his name. Girl, he always crying. Girl, he always got an issue. Who am I talking to? The S on a man's chest doesn't always mean he's strong. Sometimes he's scarred. Sometimes he's scared. Sometimes he's struggling. Sometimes he's sad. Sometimes, here it is, he's sensitive. Well, y'all don't sing that Ralph Tresvant song. You need a man with sensitivity. A man like y'all don't sing that no more. You want a thug, but sometimes that thug need a hug. S on a man's chest doesn't always mean that he's strong. Sometimes it means that he's suffering in silence. Stinking thinking that keeps him sulking and sinking. Where can he go? Can you create a safe space for him, bruh? To build your brother? Can you create a safe space for him, sister? To where, listen, he could actually really trust you, to know that you're not going to tell his secrets. You're not going to tell what he tells you to somebody else. You're not going to use what he told you against him. Oftentimes, vulnerability and masculinity cannot coexist in the same space. Oftentimes, that vulnerability is seen as femininity. As men, here's the thing. We don't always verbalize, but we internalize. And one of the struggles of a man is when he's so used to being able to internalize but never verbalize, he's locked in it and he don't know how to come out. Doesn't know how to express. Isn't it interesting what society has painted the picture and the portrayal of men? Don't talk. Be communicatively maladaptive. Only time I want you to show aggression is either on the court or in the bedroom. That's the only time you can be expressive. And so as a result of it, by the time we get to you in relationships, after we have been reared, after we have been geared, after we have been trained to be maladaptive communicatively, this is what we do. We don't talk to you. We don't express to you. Because this is how we have been trained and reared. And then, if we do express to you, honestly, there's only certain limits that you want us to go to. Let's keep it 100. For most women, it's really only certain levels that you want us to go to. You really don't want to hear about us struggling. You really don't want to hear about a man's depression. Let's be honest. Because here's the thing. When you have been taught that a man is always supposed to be strong, to a certain degree, it's not that you don't want to embrace us. You just don't know how to embrace the weakness of a man. Because you've heard he's supposed to be strong for so long. If we're going to really coexist together, the masculine and the feminine, the man and the woman, some things we're going to have to unlearn to relearn. Back in the 1990s, R&B group, Boys to Men, said this. They penned a song called Khalil. Group poignantly, mellifluously, melodiously and euphoniously sang the lyrics. No one to guide me, I'm all alone. No one to cry on. I need shelter from the rain to ease the pain of changing from boys to men. One of the most powerful songs really within the last few decades, even though it was just an interlude. Those lyrics encapsulate the dilemma that boys and men are grappling with internally. Who can we talk to? How do we cry when we've been told crying is specifically just for girls? Who can allow us to take off the cape? Because oftentimes the cape that we wear as Superman is a chokehold. And as a consequence, this is what we do. We keep the pain inside. We express it with rage on the outside. We suffer in silence. We don't verbalize, we internalize. We disregard, here it is, our he-motions. We need care. We need correction when we stumble. Why? Because even strong men struggle. Come on. Grew up without a father. For many of my young years, I was angry, I was bitter, I was depressed. I was frustrated. Why? Because the man that I looked like the most seemingly cared for me the least. Wasn't there for me through my ordeal, grappling and battling, dealing with stage 4 cancer, losing my hair, my self-confidence, my self-esteem, my will to live. Was depressed. Was confused about why am I dealing with what I'm dealing with. It was tough times, situations. I had to forgive him for not being there for me. Because the thing is, how do you play a role if you weren't given a script? How do you become a man if you didn't see one, much less interact with one? The man who was not there for me, now I am a man who is there for boys like me. As a mentor, through my Boys to Books program, empowering our young men through literacy, leadership, and life skills enrichment to read, to lead, to succeed, to be able to understand how to make that shift from boyhood to manhood. Here's what I learned. I learned just because you don't have a father doesn't mean you don't have a future. Not having a daddy doesn't disqualify you from your destiny. Why is that? Because the essence of manhood and masculinity is about maturity. It's about integrity. It's about responsibility. It's about vulnerability. That's the real rites of passage. It's not through the money. It's not through the clothes. It's not through the shoes. It's not through the cars. It's not through the notoriety. It's not through the clout. It's through personal identity and clarity that sets you apart. Because oftentimes as men, we're emotionally incarcerated, psychologically conflicted. We have to find freedom and deliverance from emotional trauma. We got to break through. Why? If we're really going to be the son, if we're really going to be the brother, if we're really going to be the father, if we're really going to be the husband, if we're really going to be the grandfather, if we're really going to be the mentor, the mentee, if we're really going to be the loved one who can be a leader, then what we're going to have to do, we're going to have to shield, we have to shift ourselves out of that mask of mythical masculinity and that Superman syndrome. Why? Because we're really more like Clark Kent than we are Superman. We're really more like David Banner than the Hulk. We're really more like Bruce Wayne than Batman. We're really more like T'Challa than we are Black Panther. We're not a caricature. It's our real identity and character. It's our season to change. It's our season to look in our time to say, my community will get better when I get better. My relationships will get better when I get better. Me being in my children's life will get better when I get better. Me being a husband and a leader and a father and a scholar will be better when I get better. Not when my muscles get bigger, but when my heart gets better. Being a man is hard work, but it's heart work. Are you willing to do the heart work to change. In industry, we focus on what's on our head. We focus on the muscles that are on our biceps and our triceps. Only time we focus on anything that's even closest to our heart is when we're trying to perfect our pectoral muscles. But no. I don't want you to just work on what's on the outside of you. I want you to work on what's within you. The greatness, the love, the value, the self-worth, the self-esteem, the self-love, the self-concept, the mental health, the maturity, the mindset, the growth, the greatness. You're worth all of this. Yeah, maybe nobody ever told you as a man to love yourself and to know your worth. But I've come to tell you to do it. Society is better for you as a result of it. Your wife will appreciate it. Your children will value it. Why? Because you're becoming it. Come on, family, type become. Become greater. Become better. Become wiser. Become stronger. Become sharper. Become the healed man and shed your heart of the hurt boy. You owe it to you. You owe it to the hurting boy to be the healed man. Yeah, you owe it to the hurting boy in you that was never affirmed, that was never loved, that was never valued, that was never spoken life to and over. You owe it to you as the man now. To not be the grown boy, but to be the real grown man, to heal the hurting boy. So guess what? You got to reparent you. You have to be to you what you never received. That's what you got to do. Whatever you never received, you got to give it to you. We're waiting on you to come through. We're waiting on you to shine through. We're waiting on you to level up too. We're waiting on you to develop your mental health, because you can't spell mental health without men heal. A real man is a healed man. My brother, my sister, this is for our children, this is for our loved ones. This is for us. I want you to sow into this word today. I want you to sow into your mental health. I want you to sow into your healing. I want you to sow into your interpersonal healing. I want you to sow into you becoming what God wants you to be. You can sow into this word that you've heard via Cash App, $Access Identity, via PayPal, via Zelle as well, EddieConnorJr @gmail.com. Also, you can sow as a super chat. You can sow via super sticker. I want you to do that. I want you to sow into this word that you've heard. It's been a super conversation. Send up a super chat. Send up a super sticker. I want you to sow the seed to meet your need. I want you to sow the seed for your son. Yeah, for you as a man, for you, my dear sister from another mister, for your grandfather, for your son, for your husband, for your cousin, for your nephew. And I want you to name your seed. Maybe you're naming your seed growth. Maybe you're naming your seed healed masculinity. Maybe you're naming your seed love. Maybe you're naming your seed value. I don't know what you're naming your seed, but I want you to name your seed as you sow your seed. Why? Because it's not as a debt that you owe. It is as a seed that you sow. So I want you to sow. I want you to sow where you grow. I want you to sow where you soar. I'm joining my faith to yours that God does 30, 60, 100-fold, that he releases the increase in your life, over your life, and through your life as a result. Speaking life over every man. Growth, development, encouragement, enrichment. Speaking to the courageous man. That the real courageous you will shine through. I know it's uncomfortable to heal, but only on the other side of uncomfortability is greatness. It's your season to do it. Family, hope you've been encouraged and enriched by this courageous conversation today. I can only do so much here. We go even further and farther in my Eagles community. I would that you would join us. My brother, I'm talking to you, my sister. Why don't you join us? Go right now, theeaglesacademy.com. When you get there, tap the Join Now button, fill out the form, be transformed. It's my private group coaching. It's where I teach, it's where I train, it's where I mentor. It's where we have times of reflections, where we have accountability partners, where we do transformative homework, to where we hold ourselves accountable, to where we are able to chart our own growth and see where it is that we started to where it is that we're going. Go with us, come with us, grow with us into your level of greatness. TheEaglesAcademy.com. Tap the Join Now button, fill out the form, be transformed. Go ahead, become a YouTube member as well in this channel, for this channel, of this channel. 3 tiers. VIP, Royalty, OQP. Rock with me. Rock with me. Family, In the Mix is out of time. But y'all know I'm not out of truth. But I want to thank you for rocking with me, riding with me, and rolling with me. Why? Because that's just how we roll. And In the Mix is in the Matrix. Yeah, In the Mix is in the Matrix. Monday through Friday, live, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on this YouTube side. While you're here, hit the subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button. I don't want you to be a ghost follower. Come on, hit the subscribe button. Subscribe to the channel. Come on, can you give me some thumbs up on this video? It's been an explosion of inspiration and empowerment. Hit the thumbs up button. Follow me on all social sites at EddieConnorJr, EddieConnorJr. If I can help you, if I can serve you in any way, reach out to me. If you're looking for a dynamic speaker, look no further. Invite me to speak at your church, your conference, your community center, your school, your session. Let's make progression. Email me, info@EddieConnor.com. Yours truly, Dr. Eddie, your main man, 100 grand, your brother from another mother. Family, it's been fun, but you know, brother, gotta run. But I want you to know it's been a privilege and a pleasure, a treat and a treasure, a joy beyond measure. But I want you, yes, you, to remember to keep the faith and believe it's gonna be bigger, better, a whole lot brighter, peace, and a whole lot of love. Keep soaring higher. Let's soar beyond my YouTube channel. If you want something that goes beyond here, you're in for a treat. I have a private mentorship group where I coach, where I teach, and I provide live Q&A insight in our interactive breakout sessions. It's where I challenge you with innovative exercises to develop your skill set. And I provide feedback to foster your growth. We break it all down to build you up in our private Zoom room as we focus on transformative topics with accountability partners who really desire to grow their greatness by soaring into success and greater purpose. Come on, soar to new heights with us in our Eagles Academy. Get your wings to win, and let's soar into more at theeaglesacademy.com.